Welcome back, viewers. My name is Ankur Saini, and I am the host of the day. And we are back with our live session, the Friday live session, Global Wage and Migration. We've got our registered migration agent, Mr. Saurabh Smar, with us. Hi, Saurabh. How are you?
Very well. Thanks, Ankur. Thanks for asking. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. I'm doing good. I'm actually working on my speech. I'm not going very fast because I've received a couple of I always say this compliments that you're going too fast. So I'm just holding my horses on this Friday. So starting the migration this session today, I would like to let our viewers know that we are going to talk about a quick recap for the 485 updates because still the market is actually having a very a lot of rumors and speculations what is exactly is happening with 485 updates. And on top, I would like to share one of the news that we recently received one of the 491 visa, which is family sponsored 491 visa as an electronics engineer, and the person is actually offshore. They are in Sri Lanka, and the day when we actually got the good news and we called them, they were like so happy because as already been said or discussed so many times in our migration session, that if you are not getting the good numbers or your points for 190 or 189, 491 visa is one of the option which you should grab. Am I right, Saurabh?
Absolutely. So, if you look into the current scenario, what I would recommend to all our clients is no matter what option you get, make sure you grab that opportunity because sometimes the opportunity never strikes again.
Exactly. So opportunity knocks your door only once. Better just grab it. So we are moving forward. I'm going to get this ball rolling with the Saurabh's going to open this conversation with regards to a quick recap of 485 updates, and as long as the other updates as well, which are actually pretty much new, and most of the applicants really wanted to know that what exactly is happening in migration industry. Saurabh, over to you.
Thanks, Ankur. Thanks for the introduction, lovely introduction. And we would like to, congratulate our clients overseas who are currently stuck overseas and they cannot come to Australia due to the travel restrictions, but who have recently received a subclass 491 visa grant in the family stream. So just to give our viewers a little bit of information about that as well. The occupation is electronics engineer, and their points were total around 85 points, including 15 from the family sponsored. So they departed Australia in March, and then they were not able to come back due to the travel restrictions. So this is the information, and they actually wanted to apply for 189 or 190, but I did give them an opportunity that look, let's apply for 491 as well. If we do get 491, we will hold on to it, and if we could not get 189, 190, then obviously they actually have a backup plan to apply for 491. So they listened to me and they were able to get their 491 granted. And because after March, as you know, there were very limited invitation rounds only for nurses and healthcare professionals, and not many people were able to actually avail that opportunity. So just an advice for everyone out there: don't chase for 189, 190. If you think you are eligible for 491, make sure you grab that opportunity because you never know if you can ever get that 491 option again. So similar thing happened, Ankur, if you do remember, with our client who was in South Australia, and she was actually given a nomination for business analyst in the month
Yeah.
of May, but she didn't wanted to apply for it. She said she wanted to apply for 190, but then her nomination lapsed, and then we were successfully able to obtain another nomination as a 491 again in last month from South Australia. So pretty much if you aim for 189, 190, you might not be able to get that. But still, if you do get an opportunity to go for 491, get this opportunity. So at least, it's a very confirmed pathway to permanent residency where you just have to make at least $54,000 per year as a taxable income.
I feel like that most of the applicants, they're actually not like mentally ready to take this opportunity of 491. Reason being because the legislation says that you need to actually be a hold on of 491 for first 3 years. Then only you can apply for any further permanent residency visa. So I think that is the clause which actually holding a lot of applicants, that okay, once we are going with the 491, we are going to stuck with this 491 for 3 years. And if miraculously we've actually like become eligible for the 189 or 190, we were not able to lodge it. So I think that is one of the mentality which are actually holding them. Secondly, I feel like that sometimes we know that the trend itself is actually going up and up and up. Well, when we started our journey here in Australia, like even you, Saurabh, the points were very, very similar, like 60, 55, 70. But even during that time, it was like the highest points. But now the whole ball game is actually changed. Applicants do really need to score high when it comes to English. They need to do naughty. They need to do PY experience. So they need to tick every box in order to get themselves the permanent residency. Two beautiful letters, PR. Whereas if we are not actually able to accumulate points for 189 and 190, and 491 straight away giving us the opportunity, the future pathway towards permanent residency, I would say that is something which is going to be very wise considering the current situation.
Absolutely. So, it's a very rightly said. If you are actually eligible for, 491 or even 494, grab that opportunity. Don't let that go to waste at all. And yeah, and then pretty much, previously the points were low when the people, when they applied for PR in 2014 to 15 and 16, those time. But as you know, as the competition goes up, and there's going to be only 4 invitation rounds in 1 year, so it's going to be really tough. And there are thousands of people sitting at 90 points, 95 points in IT, in accountants and all. So my request to them is to seek other employment opportunities. 482s or 186 is the way to go. So you could be eligible to apply for those visas as well. So moving forward, let's talk about 485 visa. There has been a recent, people are saying there has been a recent legislation changes. There was not a bit of legislation changes. Recently, we just received a clarification from Migration Institute of Australia, that the new update that was for 485 visa is actually kind of a similar arrangements, the one that were in place before, but it's just the reason why the department has to put in place, have to amend those legislation, is due to the fact that they have introduced this new 485 extension stream for people who have actually studied from a regional campus, as well as who have been living in their regional area from during their 485 visa. People who are currently in South Australia, in Perth, in Geelong, regional Victoria, in Northern Territory. So those people are actually the one who can, be eligible to apply for an extension stream. And once they do get that extension stream, there is a speculation whether their partner can go back to student visa, and whether they would be able to obtain themselves as a secondary applicant. Yes, you can. So there is, that is how you can actually get that as well as a secondary applicant. So there's a different rules for primary, different rules for secondary. As long as you do meet the requirements of either of these requirements, you can apply for that visa based on whatever you want to apply for.
So I would
Most
say to
important.
our viewers that don't fall for the trap, because this legislative like instrument is actually not very much clear to a lot of people. However, there are no changes. But if you are looking for any sort of expert advice, I would say that go and visit any of the registered migration agent. You can call Saurabh at 0430081804. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So it's all about how do you interpret these regulations, and if you are actually in this situation and you are unsure, whether you are actually eligible or whether you are not, we are more than happy to actually assist you and guide you throughout the process and explain you whether you are actually eligible or not. Most importantly, I'll just give you a quick example. Say, for example, say if a person A who is actually a primary holder of a 485 visa, and person B is their dependent on their 485, and then the person B who is their dependent goes on to study any course, say masters of business administration, etc., and they study for 2 years. And now the question is whether that person who is currently a dependent can get themselves a new primary 485. Yes, the answer is yes, they can get another 485 themselves. And the person who is currently a primary applicant, they will be able to get a dependent 485 on them. So this is the most commonly asked question, and I believe I have answered them here for you guys. And if you are not sure about your situation, or your situation is a little bit different than this one, feel free to send us a text message on this number, or send us a message via WhatsApp, and we are more than happy to comment on that as well and give you the correct guidance. So that was the 485. 485 plus it has many scenarios, so every scenario is unique. Okay, so I can only think of few scenarios, and if you do have any particular condition or scenario which is you think it's actually relevant to your condition, your circumstances, let us know, and we will be able to find an answer for you.
So in
So
most of the situations,
yeah.
Saurabh, I think when it comes to 485, only three scenarios are most common. One thing, people those who are actually living in a regional, and they
Mhm.
are going for the extension. That is the first scenario, right? The second scenario is those who are not going for the extension but planning to swap the partners or the applicants,
Mhm.
and trying to get themselves, like one is going on the student visa for the masters so they can work full time, and then later on 485 so they can work full time, right?
Mhm.
Even in these sort of cases, the same interpretation is going to be eligible, right?
Yep, absolutely. So the same applies to them as well. That if you are in this kind of situation, yes, a secondary will become primary, and the primary will then become a secondary. And then the primary who became secondary, and if he after his 485 expires, and he if he may goes and marries someone else, then he can become a secondary for someone else as well, because then he's not have to meet the requirements of a primary criteria. He would be meeting the requirements of a secondary 485 visa.
So that is something which is very, very extreme. So we should not go there, because we never know what sort of individual situations the applicants are in. However, if
Exactly.
anyone is actually having any sort of question as suggested, please do call Saurabh or WhatsApp or text. He is always there to answer your queries.
Yeah. So let's talk about this Victoria State nomination. What do you reckon?
Yes, please, because this is something which like only rounds until May, and most of the people, they've already gone through with the first round in January. The second round is actually still running, and those who are actually eligible, they can once again, as I said, they can give us a call. They can discuss their case with our registered migration agent, Mr. Saurabh Smar, and get their ROI or AOI sorted. Saurabh, over to you now.
Thanks, Ankur. So pretty much as Ankur advised that there's only going to be 5 invitation rounds. One round has already been done, and then there's only been 4 rounds left. So this the second round, which is going to happen, which is currently, so it's a submission. So you were provided with a 1 week of time to actually submit your ROIs. And once you do submit your ROIs, then the Victoria, they have selected a particular day during that month where they will actually select all the ROIs that needs to be invited for the nomination, and then that's how they actually would be able to select your nomination application. So currently, for the month of February, it's from 2nd of February till 8th of February. Okay, just I repeat that, from 2nd of February 9 a.m. till 8th of Feb 5 p.m. So during that period, you would be able to apply for your your registration of interest, which is called ROI. So I will also explain to you guys what are the requirements. So if you do think that you do tick all the boxes feel free to give us a call or send us a message, and we might be able to see whether you are actually eligible to apply for that. So if you're thinking of applying for registration of interest for subclass 190, which is a independent, which is a state-sponsored permanent residency, you would need to be working in your nominated occupation from at least 6 months, and must be living in Victoria. Obviously, if you're working, you probably be living in Victoria as well. So that's a minimum requirement. And plus, what you also have to provide that is how the kind of work you are doing is actually quite critical to the Victoria's either health response towards the COVID-19 pandemic or towards the economic recovery from COVID-19 pandemic situation in Victoria. So if you think you can actually answer both or either of them, you could also be eligible to obtain, you could also be able to be eligible to apply for Victoria's ROI system. And as I said, there's going to be 5 rounds in until May. So January rounds already been done. February rounds is only up till 8th of February, 5 p.m. Then there's going to be March, April, and May. And that's it. And after that, you would actually have to wait for the next financial year. And we actually don't know whether they're going to do it right after July, or probably they would do it in the next year itself. So these are the requirements for Victoria. Plus, specifically for the requirements for 491 visa, you must be working and living in regional Victoria from the last 3 months in your nominated occupation, the occupation in which you have your skill assessment. And the same scenario, you would need to be prove you need to prove or show it to the Victorian State Department how the kind of work you are doing is actually quite critical towards the health response from the COVID-19 pandemic, or towards, or from, it helps down Victoria for with the economy recovery from this COVID-19 pandemic. If you think you can actually answer both or either of them, you could be eligible to apply for Victoria's registration of interest for subclass 491. So 6 months living in Victoria in your nominated occupation, that's for 190. 3 months in regional Victoria could be eligible for 491. So that's the requirements for Victoria state nomination.
Thank you, Saurabh. I would like to ask one more thing here, that as these are once again the rumors of the market, that people are actually thinking, or the applicants, they are thinking that because they belongs to any of the trade like occupation, or not related to the engineering or this health related occupation, they are not actually eligible for Victoria state nomination or any state nomination, because previously, like in month of November or December, the much of the emphasis has been actually given to health sector or the critical sectors. So the same mindset is actually still being following, right? Here I would like you to give the advice to the applicants that there is nothing as such. Even a cook, even a chef, like, yes, they can even apply.
Absolutely. So if you look at the bigger picture, if you are a chef and if you are working in an aged care, providing you are actually, so indirectly you are actually providing, you are contributing towards the health response, even though you are not a frontline healthcare worker. But what you are doing is you are actually working in the background. You are providing those kind of services. Your duties, responsibilities do matter to that aged care. If you are not there, obviously it would impact the smooth working of that aged care. During the peak COVID-19 pandemic period as well, there were some time where you were actually cannot leave your aged care either. So you were actually still stuck in that aged care. You have to cook for the residents, etc., for the frontline healthcare workers. So those are kind of the things that you can actually link to the Victoria's health response. How you, as a chef working in an aged care, actually also contributed towards the health response. So there are so many ways. This is just an example. You could be an accountant working in an hospital, working in an aged care, working in a clinic, working in a COVID clinic. So you could be putting in your effort, or in such a way that also has actually impacted or helped Victoria with the COVID-19 response, or even with the economy recovery. With a perfect example, Ankur, if you do remember, how last we received an ROI for a network administrator.
Exactly. I was about to say this. You actually snatched my words, Saurabh. I
And
was, to be honest, I was even amazed the moment we've got this invite,
mm,
network administrator and COVID post recovery. And I was amazed. And then only you and me actually had a sort of conversation, lengthy conversation on that day that not only health, not only engineers, there is actually scope for a lot of occupations, provided they actually follow the link.
absolutely. So if you are actually working in this kind of sector, so even the network administrator, which is actually an STSOL occupation, state sponsored occupation, that is also not even eligible to apply for 189. So we even got that person an ROI invitation for subclass 491 because he was working and living in regional Victoria. So that's the thing. It's not even a computer system network engineer. It's just a network administrator, which is one level below computer network system engineer. So you could also be eligible to apply for these options, provided you actually do seek professional advice. Sometimes people do not know. Even this person was not aware that he could be eligible for it. And when we provided him with this option, he was surprised that. And when he actually got that invitation, he seems to be the most happiest person.
Exactly. To be honest, when you know that you're actually aiming, there is a saying in English that always aim for the moon. However, if you fall short, you're among the stars. So I would say that 189 and 190, we can consider that is moon, or is like some other planet. But yes, even if you're actually getting the opportunity for 491, grab it, because it's just, I think, 1,000 days, 730 plus 365. So more or less 1,000 days. And then after 1,000 days, you can proceed with your 191, which is a permanent residency, rather than playing with your future, hopping on a student visa and then another student visa. This is like, it's going to be a sort of game which is going to go longer and longer. So give this game a stop and think wisely. This is the only suggestion which we can actually give in these sort of live sessions.
Yeah, absolutely. So our focus is to provide you as much information as possible, during these live sessions as well. So that was Victoria State nomination, and so still just to let everyone know, it's 5 p.m. 8th of February. So if you think you are eligible, do send us a WhatsApp or even a text message, and we might be able to see whether you are actually eligible or not, or there is any chance of you obtaining a successful ROI invitation at all. So let's quickly have a chat regards to another state which is currently provided. They're going to be open shortly, which is a South Australia. So with the South Australia nomination, as you know, there's 190, 491, as well as the business investor stream. And when it comes to South Australia nomination, so what are they saying? They are not currently, most importantly, for any offshore viewers. They are not currently open for offshore people at all. At this point of time, it's only currently if you are actually residing in South Australia, you can actually apply. And if you are in Australia but you are not currently residing in South Australia, then you are not actually eligible for state nomination. So pretty much, as it's a general skill migration visa, you must be below the age of 45, and you must have your occupation in the South Australian occupation list. So South Australia has actually put a very beautiful way of putting all their occupations, making it easily understandable for so many aspiring applicants as well, that they can just enter themselves their application and they will be able to figure out whether they are eligible or not. So let's, for example, Ankur, if I want to talk about, say a chef who is actually in South Australia. So we want to see whether the chef is actually eligible to apply for their visa or not. So pretty much, if you are a chef and you are currently in South Australia, so there is a few pathways that are available. If you have studied in South Australia, you are a South Australia graduate, or if you have actually currently working in South Australia. So say, for example, for 190, they will need to see that you must be at least working in your nominated occupation for at least 12 months in the outer regional of South Australia. And for 491, either you need to be working on 12 months in Greater Adelaide or 6 months in the outer regional South Australia. So that's the eligibility criteria for a chef. If you are in South Australia currently, that's what the requirements is. And when it comes to South Australian graduate, if you have actually studied from South Australia itself, there is also a little bit halved as well. But for 190 is still the same. That it has to be at least 12 months in the outer regional South Australia. But for 491, at least 3 months of experience in the outer regional South Australia. Then also you could be eligible for that as well. And then there is a talent and innovators program as well, where if you can prove that that you are a talented individual, you have a specific talent, then you could be able to apply for it. Or if you are on a 482 visa, then also you'll be eligible for that as well. So there is a plenty of opportunities. Every occupation is unique. Every occupation has their pros and cons. Sometimes, and most importantly, Ankur, I'm thinking we should do a live session someday for accountants who are currently stuck and who do not know. They have studied master in professional accounting. What should they do now? Like, can they get any permanent residency? So we will more than happy to do a live session for that as well, where we are more than happy to take in questions from accountants who are currently have studied that, and then we will run a seminar for them.
That's actually a good idea, to be honest. Yes, because not only one or two or three, a lot of accountants, those are actually literally struggling for their permanent residency pathway at this point of time, because this occupation is a occupation which is sitting on the higher points. Not only this, a lot of occupations, those who are actually sitting on higher points, and they are literally struggling to get themselves the permanent residency. And as said and discussed in our previous live sessions through Saurabh Smar, the registered migration agent, that you need to seek good advice. An advisor can change the life. Well, on both ends, like in a different way and in a positive way as well. But you need to understand that, yes, which advisor you are actually choosing for yourself. We are not saying that we are the best, but yes, we know that we are the best. So if you are looking for the best of the advice, you can give us a call at 04300 and Saurabh is always there to look after his clients.
So let's quickly just answer a couple of questions that we have received. Number one is from Rupali. So she's got 105 points for 190 and 100 points for 189. And I put a lot of efforts, still the government doesn't borrow. So Rupali, I actually not sure what occupation you have. And if you are sitting at 105 points for 190, and if you are an accountant, I would say pretty much there's less opportunities, unfortunately. So as you know, the numbers have gone down for accountants for the occupation ceilings for the 2020 and 21 financial year. And by looking at these points, if you're an accountant, you'll probably be working in your field. I would say look for an option such as SUBCLASS 186 employer nomination scheme, where you probably doesn't need higher points, etc. as a 6-seat skill assessment and 3 years of full-time work experience, and an eligible employer to sponsor yourself. So pretty much provide us with more information about what occupation you are asking for. We might be able to give you our insights. And then we have Imran Bajwa. So he's saying, when is NSW 190 expected to start? Is there any chance to update the NSW 190 list? Are we expecting big last draw 189 because still 4,000 plus seats remaining? Imran, as you can see, there's going to be quarterly rounds. And then first round is done. Then there's going to be April round, and I'm expecting April round is going to be a little bigger because that's the last round for the financial year. So they might be able to give out a lot of invitations, but let's wait and watch and then see how we go. As there has been a recent recent media release from the government committee, where they are saying that they want to bring back the migration regulations. They want them to have the higher number of intake for skilled migrants. So let's wait and see. And once we do get more information, we will be more than happy to be with you guys and provide you with more answers, etc. Is there anything else that you would like to add, Ankur?
Well, we've already said that the next session, the next live session, is going to be accounting centric. so accountants centric, I must have to say. So yes, it's my request to all the accountants, those who are actually having any sort of question. Next Friday we are coming back with our live session, and mostly this is going to be just the occupation centric session. So it's my request to all the accountants, attend it, and then yes, please ask your questions to our registered migration agent, Mr. Saurabh Smar. Is more than happy to answer all your questions. Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Ankur. And yes, so we will see all our viewers next Friday, same time, or we will notify you guys about any changes in the time frame as well. Well, thank you so much, viewers, for joining us today, and hope you guys have a very lovely weekend. Goodbye.
Thank you.